Good afternoon, kindergarten parents. It has certainly been a really strange start to big school for your kids. Never in my career before have we had kids out for such a long period of time for any reason. But one thing I do know is that your kids are going to have a story to tell about 2020 for the rest of their lives. So hopefully by now you've watched the main video that outlines the whole school procedures. But I just wanted to discuss some of the specifics for early stage one. Normally, we encourage kindergarten parents to hand the kids over to teachers, have a bit of a chat, and it makes the transition nice. And that's really where we'd like to end up again. But just at the moment, we're going to have to do things a bit differently because of our intention to restrict adults on site. And as I said before, that's not just parents, that also includes visitors and staff at the same time. So in the morning when we get to the gate, there'll be staff at the gate as normal. But the kids are going to have to walk themselves up to the classroom, but we'll have a large number of staff around to help escort them up. If your child has an older brother or sister, they can of course walk them off to class, and that will help get them off and started. On any given day, we're expecting between 8 and 14 kindergarten kids across the whole group because of the house group situation. And by now you should know which house group you're in. You've had contact with the parents and the teachers so that you know when they're going to come along to school. We have a flexible work arrangement for our staff at the moment because I do need to thin out a bit of the traffic in the staff room to make sure that the risk of transmission between adults is minimised. And as we've already spoken about, the risk between kids, all research tells us is fairly minimal. So the priority is really around those adults and how we use the school site. So all of the kindergarten kids will be combined on a given day into one grouping. And as I said, we're expecting around about 8 kids, and our intention is that we wouldn't have more than 10 per group. If we ended up with any more, we would use a double room to continue the spacing. And either Mrs. Hyde, Miss Everett, or Miss McDonald will be teaching them, and the other teachers that aren't actually on class at that point in time, they would be probably remote working and engaging in preparing materials, talking to you on the telephone, and doing all the things they have been doing over the last few weeks. In the afternoon is probably the bigger thing to think about for kindergarten. All of the younger students will be meeting in a given location just before the bell, and those with older students or older brothers and sisters rather will be teamed up in those family groups, and they will then leave the school grounds together, helped by their siblings and also supported by the staff that will be around at school. So what will be important in that case is your kids will need to know which your preferred gate to leave will be, and it cannot be the Mariana Gate if they've got older siblings. So that they will leave, and you'll meet them at the gate on the way out. And of course, we'll have a teacher there, so if anyone happens to be late, kids won't be sent home all on their own or any of those sorts of things. If your child doesn't have an older sibling, and by older I mean in year 3, 4, 5, 6, so an older sibling doesn't really count if they're just in year 1 and 2, the teachers will take them to the Mariana Gate, and that's where you can wait outside the gate, and there are already lines on the footpath out there, and they'll come up to the gate, they'll be in the family grouping, and the teacher will spot the parent and will line up the students with their parents, and off you'll go home. So that's the really big change. That's the gate you need to be at, is Mariana, if there are no brothers or sisters in years 3, 4, 5, 6. If your kindergarten student does in fact have a preschool sibling, they will end up in the preschool area, and you can watch the preschool video in a minute, which will give you a bit of information about how preschool is working. Now, one thing we're trying to organise for kindergarten is how we're going to have their ongoing work packs go home, because I'm conscious of some of our students we're not planning on seeing until Thursday next week. Today's Friday, it's the best part of a week, and we want to make sure that their learning continues uninterrupted. And so Mrs. Hyde has had a conversation with lots of parents about how we're going to get those packs home, and we need to really think very carefully about not just the social distancing, but also about how it relates to the other kids at school and that sort of stuff. So what we will do is Mrs. Hyde has made that time for you to come up, which I think is on Monday morning for some parents, up to Mariana. Mrs. Hyde and Miss Binning and myself will be up there to assist. Unfortunately, it won't be possible to collect their sibling packs. So if, for instance, you have a child in kindergarten and also in year 2, the year 1 and 2 students have a different system that they're using to get packs home, which I'll talk about in the stage 1 video. And the pack that is for the stage 1 and 2s aligns to a different system to kindergarten. So I appreciate that might be an inconvenience for a small number of parents, and I do apologise for that. It was a little bit of an oversight on my part, and I'm sorry about that, but we will endeavour to make things as smooth as we possibly can. It's important, of course, to make sure that when kids come to school, that they bring their work pack back so that there is an opportunity to change it over. And I'd like to also remind everyone about what I said about the canteen in my main video. So the canteen isn't operating in the normal way it does. Downloading the app would be the best option for you. Or when your child comes to school, they can bring a paper bag with some money and their order inside it, and we'll get that up to the classroom. The kids won't be sent to the canteen. It won't be open for over-the-counter orders, and it won't be open for parents to order over the counter either. So that does need to be fairly well organised. So other than that, hopefully we've planned for everything. You should be aware of how lunch and recess are going to work and all those other sorts of arrangements. If you have any questions, do please contact the office, email or via telephone are the best options. If your child does happen to be late for school, you'll need to come in through the Copeland Road gate, but it is important in these times to avoid being late because it will create some management issues here at school with how we manage the site. But as I said, any questions, please contact the office, leave a message, and either Mrs. Hyde or Mrs. McDonald or Miss Everett will get back to you as soon as possible. At this stage, we don't know how long the current plan is going to run for. It seems unlikely it's going to run for months. The Prime Minister has spoken this afternoon about the wish to get back to normal sooner rather than later, but we're still waiting on advice from the state government. So from me, have a great weekend, and hopefully Mother's Day is great for all of you. Thank you.